Humanity discovered its children enslaved, and the galaxy witnessed how the stars stretched endlessly across the black sky as the exploration fleet drifted through the uncharted sector. Captain Aaron Blake stood on the bridge of the command ship Horizon, his eyes scanning the readings on the wide holographic display. The probe they had sent ahead had picked up an unusual energy signature, one that didn't match any known natural phenomenon. It was too precise, too structured, and it pulsed with a strange rhythm that suggested intelligence. "Captain, the signal is growing stronger," Lieutenant Mara Ellis reported, her voice calm but tinged with excitement. "It's coming from a dense cluster near the outer rim." "I think it's artificial," Aaron nodded, gripping the edge of the console. "Artificial or not, it's our job to find out. Prepare a small reconnaissance team. We go in quietly. I want eyes on that signal before we make any moves." The shuttle detached from the horizon, gliding silently toward the source. The cluster of stars gave way to a dark, cold planet with no atmosphere, orbiting a massive, blacked-out space station. Its design was alien, unlike anything catalogued in human archives. Towering towers of metal jutted out like jagged teeth, and massive energy conduits ran along its hull, glowing faintly. Aaron's heart sank. The station was enormous, but it was not abandoned. Small shapes moved along the surface, disciplined and purposeful. Drones zipped between towers, scanning, monitoring, and coordinating with military precision. "Whatever is in there, it's prepared," Mara whispered beside him, "and they're ready for trouble." Aaron frowned. He had seen war, seen alien fleets, and faced impossible odds before. But nothing could have prepared him for what came next. The shuttle's cameras picked up small compartments inside the station, illuminated by cold white light. Shadows moved within, and the shapes, they were children. Hundreds of them, packed into sterile rooms, monitored constantly by mechanical guards and alien overseers. The children were pale, thin, and fearful, yet there was a spark in their eyes, a small ember of defiance that refused to be extinguished. Aaron felt a hand tighten around his arm as Mara pointed to one screen. "These aren't experiments," she said quietly. "They're prisoners, and they're human." The words hit him like a physical blow. Humanity had grown, expanded among the stars, fought wars on distant planets, but never had they imagined this. Their own children, stolen from Earth, carried away by aliens unknown, raised to serve a purpose they could not understand. Aaron's jaw tightened, and he fought to keep his voice steady. "Prepare to report this back, but don't make any sudden moves. We need to know everything before we act." Inside the station, the children huddled together during their brief moments of privacy. Some whispered instructions, teaching each other ways to avoid the patrols, ways to sabotage the alien machines without being caught. It was subtle, almost invisible. They had learned to survive under the harshest conditions, and yet, even in chains, their minds remained free. Back on the shuttle, Aaron's team watched a holographic map of the station. Drones patrolled the corridors with relentless efficiency. The alien overseers were humanoid, yet their bodies were elongated and metallic in places, covered in black armor that reflected the cold light of the station. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural green, scanning every corner, every movement. "This is worse than I imagined," Aaron muttered. "They're using human children as slaves, training them to serve their empire, and they've kept it hidden all this time." Mara shook her head. "The question is, why now, why here, why us?" Aaron did not answer immediately. The question lingered in the air as they studied the patrol patterns and security protocols. There were flaws, of course. No system was perfect. But they were subtle, designed to mislead anyone attempting to breach the station. Yet even in its perfection, human ingenuity found ways to notice patterns. "We can't just rush in blindly," Aaron said finally. "We need a plan. We need to understand what they want with the children, how they control them, and most importantly, how to give them a chance to fight back." The shuttle hovered above the station for hours as they observed. Below, the children continued their small acts of defiance. One boy managed to override a security panel briefly, sending a patrol drone spinning off course before being caught again. A girl communicated with another using a series of knocks and signals, silently exchanging messages about the layout of the rooms. Aaron felt a pang of admiration. Humanity's resilience was alive, even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. Suddenly, the station's main sensors flickered. The overseers noticed the intrusion, their glowing eyes scanning the skies. Aaron's heart raced. "They've detected us," he said. "Prepare for immediate retreat." Before they could leave, a small transmission pinged through their system. It was faint, garbled, and almost unrecognizable. Mara squinted at the readout. "It's coming from the children," she whispered. "They're sending a signal." Aaron leaned in, listening. The message was simple but clear. They had a plan, they had hope, and they needed guidance. The children were already resisting, organizing, learning from each other. But they could not do it alone. "Then we become their guide," Aaron said, his voice firm. "If we do this, we do it smart. We teach them, we coordinate, we give them the tools to survive and fight back." Mara nodded, understanding the weight of his words. "And we have to move fast. If the Virin Collective realizes what we're doing, they won't hesitate to retaliate." Aaron felt a rush of anger mixed with determination. The thought of humans, their own children, living under alien chains was unbearable. But this anger sharpened his focus. It fueled his resolve. Humanity had never been so underestimated, and now they would show the galaxy the true cost of underestimating them. As the shuttle retreated to the horizon, Aaron called in a full assessment. Scientists, engineers, and strategists from Earth began analyzing every piece of intelligence they had gathered. Within hours, the team discovered ways to infiltrate alien systems, to communicate covertly with the children, to exploit the smallest weaknesses in the station's defenses. Even from light years away, humans adapted. They hacked alien drones, rewired sensors, and built simulations to anticipate the patrols. It was a game of patience and intellect, and humanity had patience in abundance. On the station, the children continued their quiet rebellion. They whispered, exchanged messages, and mapped the corridors with precision. They were not helpless. They had been taught survival, discipline, and cleverness by an instinct they did not yet fully understand. And now, with guidance from their parents far away, they had a chance to rise. Captain Blake watched the stars as the shuttle returned to the horizon. He knew the path ahead would be dangerous. The Virin Collective was powerful, cruel, and relentless. But he also knew this. Humanity did not bow easily, and they never surrendered. "We are not just saving children," he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "We are reminding the galaxy who we are." Mara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then let's make sure they never forget it." And somewhere deep inside the station, the smallest spark of hope grew brighter, unnoticed by the alien overseers. Humanity's children were not alone. Their parents had come, their minds sharp, their hearts fierce. The galaxy had yet to witness the true strength of Earth. Hours turned into days as preparations began. Small teams of human specialists coordinated with the children, transmitting strategies, teaching improvisation, and preparing for the moment when the first strike would take place. Every minor victory, every small act of sabotage, became a stepping stone toward freedom. Aaron walked the corridors of the horizon, reviewing plans and contingencies. He paused at the observation deck, looking out at the distant station. He saw the lights flicker as if responding to some invisible force, and he smiled grimly. Humanity had entered the game, and they would not lose. The Virin Collective believed they were untouchable, that humans were predictable and weak. They had never considered the possibility that human ingenuity could turn the tide, that even in captivity, humans could learn, adapt, and overcome. And they would soon learn the hard way. Deep inside the station, one of the children glanced at a cracked panel and whispered to a friend, "They're coming. We're not alone anymore." The rebellion had begun. And the galaxy, whether it realized it or not, was about to witness the awakening of a species that refused to be chained. Captain Blake turned from the observation window. "Prepare the next transmission," he ordered. "We have to make contact before they get crushed. We are their chance and they are ours. Humanity will not fail." As the horizon set a careful course back toward Earth, carrying the burden of knowledge and hope, Aaron Blake allowed himself one quiet thought. The children had survived this far, but now humanity would ensure that they would survive and triumph. The galaxy was about to see what humans could do when their own were threatened, and the Virin Collective would never underestimate them again. And somewhere in the dark halls of the alien station, a spark of courage began to glow, small but unbreakable, signaling the beginning of a fight that would shake the stars themselves. The horizon drifted in orbit above the dark planet, its engines silent and its systems focused entirely on the hidden station below. Captain Aaron Blake studied the energy readings with a furrowed brow. Every signal, every movement inside the station was now a potential clue, a thread to pull toward understanding the alien operation. Humanity had discovered its children enslaved, and now they had to act with precision or risk losing them forever. Lieutenant Mara Ellis hovered beside him, her fingers dancing across the control panel as she compiled data from drones and previous reconnaissance scans. "The children are organized," she said quietly. "They're small, but they're already resisting in subtle ways." "Look at this pattern." Aaron leaned over. On the holographic display, tiny clusters of dots moved along corridors, avoiding patrols and interacting in ways that suggested planning and communication. "They've been doing this for a long time," he said. "They've learned how to survive on their own, but now we can give them a chance to fight, not just survive." The first step was contact. Mara set up a secure, low-power communication link designed to be undetectable by the alien station. They had to be careful. Even a slight mistake could alert the Virin collective. After hours of adjustments, a soft green light blinked on the console, a faint acknowledgement. The children had received the signal. Inside the station, a boy named Eli leaned against a wall, listening to the small device hidden beneath the floor. His eyes widened as a human voice spoke in the quiet room, clear yet gentle. "We are your parents. We are here to help you. You are not alone." A shiver ran through Eli's spine. He had never imagined hearing a human voice in years, not since the aliens had taken them. Around him, other children paused, listening intently, hearts beating faster. Hope was a fragile thing, but now it had a foothold. Aaron instructed Mara to start transmitting basic survival instructions. How to move silently, how to disable drones without being caught, and how to communicate secretly. Every detail was broken into simple steps, knowing the children had limited tools but unlimited determination. Hours passed like minutes. The children absorbed every instruction, adapting it to their environment. They tested new techniques during brief moments when alien patrols changed shifts or when maintenance drones moved in predictable patterns. Slowly, their confidence grew. They were learning to act not just as victims but as participants in a rebellion. Meanwhile, Aaron studied the station's structure in detail. The alien architecture was advanced, but not invincible. Every energy conduit, every patrol path, every mechanical overseer had weaknesses, patterns that could be exploited with enough observation and creativity. Aaron's mind raced, planning a strategy that combined human ingenuity with the children's adaptability. Mara's voice cut through his thoughts. "Captain, the Virin are starting to notice minor anomalies. Some patrols are changing routes unexpectedly." "They're suspicious, but they haven't pinpointed the cause yet," Aaron nodded. "That's expected. We want them to be unsure. Confusion is a weapon. Keep monitoring, but don't interfere directly yet." Inside the station, the children's small victories became bolder. A group of 4 managed to jam a security camera temporarily, laughing quietly in the shadows. Another group rerouted a minor power supply, causing a hallway to go dark just long enough to hide their movements. The overseers noticed, their green eyes narrowing in frustration, but they could not catch the invisible hands that were slowly unraveling their control. Among the children, Eli had emerged as a quiet leader. He coordinated small teams, shared new techniques, and encouraged others when fear crept in. He spoke softly but with authority, his words carrying the weight of shared experience. "We can do this. We've survived this long. We can survive a little longer, and then we fight." Back on the horizon, Aaron watched these reports and smiled grimly. The children were already showing the traits that made humans formidable: cleverness, resilience, and the ability to adapt in the face of impossible odds. "They're learning fast," he said to Mara. "Faster than I expected." Mara's eyes were serious. "We have to stay ahead. The Virin collective will adjust quickly once they realize we're helping the children. We can't afford mistakes." Aaron leaned back, thinking. Every human instinct told him that brute force would not win here. They had to be smarter, more creative. The battle would not be fought with lasers and ships alone. It would be fought in the mind with strategy and cunning. Days passed in a tense rhythm. The human team coordinated their transmissions carefully, each message designed to teach the children something new without drawing attention. Every success built confidence, every error was corrected quickly, and every move made the children stronger. Inside the station, small rebellions multiplied. Children began leaving secret messages for each other, marking corridors with symbols that only they could read. They learned to predict patrol patterns and even create minor distractions, smoke from overheated circuits, tripped alarms that reset before anyone noticed. Each victory, though small, brought a sense of empowerment. They were no longer just prisoners, they were participants in their liberation. Aaron reviewed the holographic projections. He could see the potential for a larger operation, a coordinated strike that would free the children while minimizing risks. But timing was critical. If the Virin collective realized what was happening too soon, it could all be destroyed in an instant. Myra approached him with a report. "Captain, we've identified a weak point. A secondary maintenance corridor runs behind the central control hub. It's lightly patrolled, and it could be used to move quickly without detection." Aaron's eyes lit up. "That's our window. We'll coordinate with the children to use that route. They'll create diversions, we'll guide them through, and we'll prepare the first stage of the strike." Inside the station, Eli gathered the children. "Listen carefully," he said, repeating the instructions they had received from the humans. "We move together quietly and quickly. No one gets left behind. This is our chance, and we will take it." Fear mingled with excitement, but determination overcame hesitation. The children were ready to act, and humanity's guidance gave them the tools to make a real difference. The first attempt at sabotage was small but significant. Lights flickered in a hallway, doors locked and unlocked at irregular intervals, and drones malfunctioned mysteriously. The Virin overseers grew suspicious, their glowing eyes scanning for intruders, but the true source of the disruption remained invisible. Aaron monitored every move from the horizon. Each minor victory was a sign that their plan was working. The children's confidence grew, and the humans' trust in their own strategy strengthened. They were building momentum, one small act at a time. Mara glanced at him. "Captain, if this continues, they'll figure out the human connection. We need to accelerate the next phase." Aaron nodded. "Agreed. Prepare the transmissions for coordinated action. Tonight we take the next step. The children need to know exactly when and where to act." Inside the station, Eli and the other children moved through the corridors, silently executing their tasks. They jammed surveillance systems, misdirected patrols, and created small but critical opportunities. Every action required courage, creativity, and trust in guidance they had received from humans they had never met. As night fell over the barren planet, the first coordinated strike was set into motion. Drones faltered, doors clicked into place in unexpected ways, and alarms triggered false warnings across the station. The Virin collective scrambled to respond, but confusion reigned. For the first time, the children moved with purpose, guided by the humans beyond the stars. Aaron watched with pride and anticipation. The risk was enormous, but the potential reward was greater. Humanity had begun to reclaim its children, and the spark of rebellion was now a flame that could not be ignored. Suddenly, the station's main sensors flickered, and a massive alert sounded across the system. The Virin collective had detected unusual activity. Green-eyed overseers raced through corridors, drones swarmed unpredictably, and the station shook under the strain of rapid, coordinated sabotage. Aaron's heart pounded. "They've noticed something," he said. "But it's not too late. Keep the children moving." They have to reach the corridor. Inside, Eli led the group through the maintenance path. Every step was tense, every sound a potential threat. But the children moved with discipline, improvising when obstacles appeared, trusting in the humans' guidance. One child tripped a small alarm by accident, but Eli quickly redirected the others. "Keep going, don't stop, we are almost there." On the horizon, Aaron adjusted the transmissions, giving new instructions in real time, compensating for the children's unexpected errors. "We've got them," he whispered. "They can do this. They are stronger than they realize." Hours later, the children reached the exit point near the station's outer docking area. Small transport pods were ready, transmitted in secret from Earth's fleet. The children climbed in, their faces lit with hope and fear, knowing that every second counted. Aaron and Mara watched as the first pods prepared to launch. The station's alarms blared, and alien forces rushed toward the docking bays, but the children were already moving, guided by humans who refused to be defeated. As the pods blasted off into space, Aaron allowed himself a moment of relief. The first wave of children was free, their courage and human ingenuity proving that even in captivity, humanity could never be broken. Mara placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is just the beginning," she said softly, "but we've started something they can't stop." Aaron nodded, his eyes on the stars. The fight was far from over, but hope had been restored. Humanity had begun to reclaim its children, and the galaxy would soon witness that Earth was not a species to be underestimated. Somewhere deep inside the station, a small group of children remained, trapped by circumstances beyond their control. But even they now knew they were not alone. The humans were coming. And when they did, every chain, every prison, every barrier would fall before the ingenuity, courage, and unity of Earth's children and their parents. The rebellion had begun, and the galaxy, though unaware, was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. Humanity did not bend, did not yield, and when its own were threatened, it struck with precision, intelligence, and unbreakable resolve. Captain Blake turned to Mara, his voice calm but fierce. "Prepare the next phase. We are only getting started." Humanity will not fail its children. And in the darkness of the alien station, a spark of hope burned brighter, small yet unstoppable, signaling the rise of a force that would reshape the galaxy forever. The freed children drifted in the pods through the dark void of space, their faces pale and exhausted, but shining with hope. Captain Aaron Blake monitored the displays on the horizon, watching their progress. Each pod had been programmed to follow an exact trajectory, to a hidden rendezvous point several thousand kilometers away. The Virin Collective, enraged by the sabotage and the sudden disappearance of the children, had begun deploying pursuit drones, but Aaron's calculations accounted for every possible interception. Lieutenant Mara Ellis leaned over his shoulder, her fingers hovering above the control panel. "They're holding steady. We designed the pods to outmaneuver alien interceptors. As long as they follow the path, they'll reach the rendezvous safely." Aaron nodded, though his jaw remained tight. The tension was far from over. "Once they dock with the rescue ships, we can start bringing them home, but the Virin will not give up easily. This was only the first step. We need to prepare for retaliation." Inside the station, the remaining children watched as the pods disappeared into the stars. Eli's hands trembled slightly as he clenched them into fists. The others looked to him, their young faces showing both fear and determination. They had lost friends in the escape, but they had also learned something important. Humanity was coming for them, and they were not alone. One of the older children, a girl named Lyra, stepped forward. "We can't just wait here. They'll come back for us, and we need to make sure they can't catch us off guard." Eli nodded, his mind racing. "We've learned how to sabotage. We've learned to move without being seen. Now we need to think bigger. We need to hit them where it hurts the most, their control systems." Aaron, still monitoring from the horizon, noticed the children's remaining movements. Mara pointed out the anomalies on the screens. "They're already improvising. Even without our guidance, they're creating disruptions in the station. Look at these systems. They're starting to fail one after another." Aaron allowed himself a small smile. "They're learning faster than we thought. They're human after all. And humans never back down when they have a chance to fight." The next phase was dangerous. Aaron instructed Mara to coordinate with the children for a larger, more strategic strike against the station. They had learned enough about the patrols and the weak points in the alien architecture. With careful planning, they could now target the control hub that managed security drones, doors, and communication systems. Disabling it would throw the station into chaos, giving the remaining children a chance to escape. Inside the station, Eli and Lyra led a team through maintenance corridors that had remained largely unpatrolled. Their small flashlights illuminated the dull, metallic walls, casting long shadows. Every noise was amplified in the silence, every echo of footfalls a potential threat. "Remember what the humans taught us," Eli whispered. "Move silently, watch for patrols, and trust each other. We are not alone anymore. We can do this." The children encountered their first obstacle almost immediately. A security drone patrolled a hallway, its sensors sweeping rhythmically. Lyra held up a hand, signaling the group to freeze. She had noticed the pattern. The drone paused for a fraction longer at certain points in the sweep. Timing their movements, the children slipped past without triggering an alarm. Their hearts pounded in their chests, but they moved as one. Aaron watched every move from the horizon, using the live feed from Mara's transmission. "They're in position," he murmured. This is it. They're about to take control of the station. The team reached a junction leading to the control hub. Eli studied the map he had memorized, recalling the human instructions down to the smallest detail. We split into two groups, he instructed. One goes to the left maintenance access, the other to the right. We disable the drones first, then move on to the control panel. The children moved with a mixture of fear and determination. They had been trained for years, not in weapons or combat, but in observation, logic, and improvisation. Their minds were sharper than the aliens anticipated, and their ingenuity gave them an edge no one had predicted. The first group reached the drone control room. Eli signaled them to start working on the panels. They followed the instructions they had received from the humans, using simple tools to disconnect power and reroute circuits. Sparks flew and alarms triggered briefly, but the children remained calm, improvising as needed. Aaron and Mara guided them step by step, sending real-time advice through secure transmissions. "Hold on to the access panel," Aaron instructed. "Now reverse the main power flow." "Good, now overload the secondary relay." The drones outside stuttered, then collapsed in a cascade of sparks. Eli allowed himself a small smile. "We did it. Keep moving. The hub is next." The children regrouped and approached the central control hub. It was heavily guarded by the VRIN overseers, but the humans had prepared a diversion. Aaron activated a series of holographic decoys in the station's lower corridors, sending the alien guards chasing after empty halls and false readings. Inside, Eli and Lyra worked quickly. They had no experience with alien technology, but the instructions from Earth were clear, and their minds were fast. Lyra held the panel open while Eli manipulated the circuits, following the human guidance. Suddenly, a VRIN overseer appeared at the doorway, its green eyes glowing as it realized the intrusion. Eli froze for a moment, then remembered the human lesson. Think, adapt, improvise. He grabbed a nearby conduit and swung it toward the overseer, causing it to stumble. Lyra pushed the panel back into place, completing the sequence. The control hub shuddered as the power rerouted. Lights flickered across the station, doors locked and unlocked randomly, and drones stopped mid-sweep. Confusion spread through the alien ranks as they struggled to regain control. Aaron allowed himself a grin. "They're doing it. They're taking the station apart from the inside. This is human ingenuity at its finest." The children continued their work, moving through the corridors with renewed confidence. Every act of sabotage disrupted the station further, creating openings for the others to escape. They had learned to trust their instincts, to rely on each other, and to think like humans. Eli paused to catch his breath. "We've come this far, we can finish this. Keep moving, don't stop." The VRIN collective, frustrated and confused, attempted to coordinate a counterattack, but their efforts were chaotic. The station was designed for order, but the human-guided rebellion introduced unpredictability it could not handle. Every decision the aliens made was met with an unexpected outcome, every patrol diverted, every system disabled. Aaron monitored the chaos from the horizon, issuing new instructions to the children in real time. "Use the maintenance shafts to reach the upper deck," he advised. "There's a secondary control console there that manages all communications. If you take it offline, the VRIN will be blind." The children moved swiftly, guided by human voices and their own ingenuity. They navigated narrow shafts, avoided surveillance, and disabled minor security systems along the way. Each step brought them closer to freedom, each act of sabotage increasing their chances of escape. Finally, they reached the secondary control console. Eli and Lyra worked together, following Aaron's instructions meticulously. The console sparked and hummed as power was redirected. The lights throughout the station flickered, then stabilized, but the control systems remained disabled. The children had effectively blinded the VRIN collective, leaving them disoriented and unable to respond effectively. Aaron allowed himself a moment of relief. "They've done it," he said. "They've outsmarted them. They're free to escape." The children moved quickly toward the docking bays where the remaining pods had been prepared. Their hearts raced, but their determination was unshakable. They had fought back, learned from their parents, and now they were ready to take their next step toward freedom. As they launched into space, the VRIN collective attempted one last desperate strike, but it was too late. The children were gone, guided by human ingenuity and courage. The station was left in chaos, its systems crippled, its control lost. Humanity had shown that even when enslaved, it could not be broken. Aaron watched the pods disappear into the darkness, feeling a surge of pride and hope. "This is only the beginning," he said. "We've proven that humans cannot be controlled, and the galaxy will witness it." Mara nodded, her eyes on the display. "The remaining children will follow. They know they are not alone anymore. Humanity is coming for them." Inside the station, Eli and Lyra looked back one last time. The corridors were dark and empty, the alien overseers retreating into confusion. The children had done the impossible. They had turned fear into action, captivity into rebellion, and guidance into triumph. As the pods sped toward the rendezvous point, Aaron and Mara began planning the next phase. The Virin collective would regroup, and the battle was far from over. But humanity had taken the first major step, proving that intelligence, courage, and unity were stronger than any chain. The children, exhausted but exhilarated, looked out at the stars. Freedom was not yet complete, but it was within reach. And with the guidance of their parents, the horizon, and human ingenuity, they would finish what they had begun. The galaxy, though unaware, had begun to witness the rise of a force it had never expected. Humanity, in all its cleverness and determination, was claiming its place among the stars, and nothing, not even the Virin collective, could deny it. Captain Blake turned from the display, his mind already moving forward. "We've shown them the first lesson," he said quietly. "Now we prepare for the next. Humanity will not falter. Humanity will not fail its children. And when the galaxy sees what we can do, they will know that Earth is not to be underestimated." In the darkness of space, the freed children floated toward their temporary refuge, hearts pounding with anticipation and courage. Every small act of bravery, every decision made with care and intelligence, had brought them this far. The rebellion had begun, and it would continue until every human child was safe, and the galaxy knew the true strength of humanity. The freed children were safe for now, clustered in the temporary refuge pods, drifting in orbit around a hidden asteroid. Captain Aaron Blake watched them on the horizon, their small faces illuminated by the soft glow of the pods' lights. Their eyes reflected a mix of relief, exhaustion, and determination. Humanity had begun reclaiming its own, but the battle was far from over. The Virin collective would not forget this embarrassment. They would strike back. Mara Ellis pointed to the display. "They're recovering fast. The pods' shields are holding and life support is stable, but the Virin aren't idle. Their pursuit fleets are reorganizing. They'll come for the rest." Aaron nodded, his mind already running through strategies. "We need to be ready. This is our chance to strike, not just for the children, but to show the galaxy what humans can do. They think they can control us. They are about to learn otherwise." Inside the pods, the children adjusted to their temporary safety. Eli and Lyra gathered them together. "We survived the station," Eli said firmly, "but we can't stop now. The others are still trapped. We need to help them. We have the skills, we have the humans guiding us, and we will not fail." Lyra nodded, glancing at the pod's controls. "We can coordinate strikes from here. We have maps, communications, and our own strategies. If we act carefully, we can prepare the rest for escape." Aaron called for a fleet-wide briefing. Human engineers and strategists gathered in the command room, their faces lit by the holographic projection of the enemy station. Every detail was analyzed: the patrol routes, the drone frequencies, the structural weaknesses. "We've seen what the children can do," Aaron said. "Now we coordinate. The Virin collective relies on order, on control. But humans, our children, our people, thrive in chaos. We will use that against them." Mara gestured at the projection. "The station is still operational, but its systems are damaged. Security is fractured, drones are malfunctioning, and the overseers are disoriented. If we strike now, we can finish what the children started." Aaron's eyes narrowed. "We do it in phases. Phase 1, a distraction to draw their attention away from the main hub. Phase 2, a coordinated strike on the control systems. Phase 3, extraction of the remaining children. We move precisely, fast, and intelligently." Inside the station, the remaining children noticed the confusion among the alien overseers. Drones swirled unpredictably, alarms rang and then fell silent, doors opened unexpectedly, and patrols moved in odd patterns. Eli and Lyra gave silent signals to small teams, directing them to sabotage communications and create diversions. The first human-guided strike began with a simple but brilliant tactic, using remote drones to mimic human movements, projected in hallways that were lightly monitored. The Virin collective saw these false signals and rushed to intercept them, leaving corridors empty for the real groups of children to move through. Aaron and Mara coordinated from the horizon, guiding the children through each step. Left corridor now. Wait for the patrolling drone to pass. Move quickly. Good, stop. Switch to the upper maintenance path. Excellent, you're doing perfectly. The children moved with precision, executing instructions perfectly. They had learned from humans how to observe, how to improvise, how to anticipate the alien response. Every small victory compounded, giving them confidence and breaking the Virin's control. Eli and Lyra reached the central hub. Their hearts pounded as they saw the complexity of the alien systems, but they remembered Aaron's voice. Humans adapt. Humans overcome. Humans think faster than machines. They followed the instructions step by step, rerouting power flows, disabling communication channels, and planting minor disruptions in the alien network. Drones malfunctioned, alarms triggered false warnings, and the Virin collective struggled to respond. Aaron watched every movement from the horizon. "They're doing it," he said softly. "The children are striking with intelligence, not force. They're making the station collapse under its own systems." Meanwhile, outside the station, small human ships appeared from hidden positions. They were equipped with modified gravity disruptors and short-range EMPs designed to target the Virin fleets without harming the children. The human fleet moved silently, guided by Mara's calculations. Aaron activated the disruptors in sync with the children's internal sabotage. Energy fields twisted, drones fell from the sky, and alien ships collided in confusion. The Virin collective had never faced an enemy that coordinated intelligence, technology, and bravery in such a precise way. Inside the station, Eli and Lyra guided the children toward the docking bays. "Move quickly, trust the humans," Eli shouted. "We can do this." "We are stronger than they expect." The Virin overseers realized the breach too late. Their green eyes widened in frustration as children escaped in pods, the corridors chaotic, their defenses failing. Every attempt to contain the situation failed because the humans had calculated every possible response, and the children had adapted in real time. Aaron smiled grimly. "This is the difference. The Virin rely on control. We rely on intelligence, courage, and unity." "They can't calculate that." The pods launched in sequence, moving through the station's outer docking bays. Some children piloted small pods themselves, following instructions received from the humans. Others were guided remotely by the horizon. Mara pointed at one group of Virin interceptors attempting to block the pods. "They're heading for interception," she warned. Aaron acted immediately. "Divert the gravity disruptors to that sector. EMP pulses in 3, 2, 1, now." The Virin ships swerved uncontrollably, their systems overloaded. The pods sailed through safely. Children cheered quietly inside, knowing that freedom was finally within reach. But the battle was not over. The main control tower of the station still functioned partially. Aaron knew that if the Virin regained control, they could trap the remaining children or call reinforcements. A final strike was needed, and it had to be decisive. "Prepare the final phase," Aaron ordered. "We hit the control tower with everything we've got." Gravity disruptors, drones, and the children's sabotage combined. Precision, speed. Humanity will win. Inside the station, Eli and Lyra led the last group of children to a secondary access corridor. Every step was tense, every shadow a potential threat. But they had learned to trust themselves, each other, and the humans guiding them. The human fleet positioned itself perfectly. Gravity disruptors aligned with the station's weak points, EMP pulses timed with the children's internal sabotage. Aaron and Mara coordinated with exact precision, like conductors of an interstellar symphony. "Strike now," Aaron commanded. Explosions of energy rippled through the station. Lights flickered, drones fell, doors locked and unlocked erratically. The Virin overseers attempted to respond, but their systems collapsed faster than they could react. The children surged through the corridors, following every step planned by humans. Every act of sabotage, every movement was amplified by the synchronized strike from the fleet. The station trembled as power rerouted, forcing the Virin collective into chaos. Aaron and Mara watched as the final group of children reached the docking bays. "They've done it," Mara whispered. All the children are safe. The pods launched, one after another, slipping past the remaining Virin ships, guided by human ingenuity and the children's courage. The freed humans were finally out of the station, escaping into space under the protection of the fleet. Aaron allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew the fight was not over. The Virin collective was strong, but humanity had demonstrated something the galaxy had never seen before: intelligence combined with courage, adaptability, and unity. Inside the horizon, Aaron addressed his crew. We've shown them that humans cannot be controlled. We've shown them that even when enslaved, we fight back. And now the galaxy knows that humanity will not yield, will not surrender, and will not be underestimated. Mara glanced at him, her eyes reflecting pride. We've done more than save the children. We've changed the balance. The Virin won't forget this, and neither will the rest of the galaxy. The freed children, exhausted but exhilarated, floated in the pods, watching the stars. They had survived, adapted, and fought back. They were stronger than they had ever known, and humanity had proven that it could not be broken. Eli looked at Lyra and whispered, "We did it. They're all safe now." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. The humans are coming, and the Virin will have to face us together." Aaron Blake turned from the observation deck of the horizon, looking at the distant stars. Humanity had taken its first major victory, and it had done so not with overwhelming force alone, but with intelligence, strategy, and the courage of its people. The galaxy had begun to witness the rise of a species that refused to be enslaved, that refused to bow, and that would fight for its own, no matter the cost. Humanity had struck back, and the Virin collective would never underestimate them again. Somewhere deep inside the shattered station, the Virin gathered in silence, their green eyes glowing with frustration and disbelief. For the first time, they faced a species that could not be controlled, a species that turned oppression into rebellion, fear into courage, and captivity into victory. Aaron placed a hand on Mara's shoulder. "Prepare the fleet. We need to regroup and plan the next phase. This is not over, but we've made a statement the galaxy will not forget." The children in the pods smiled faintly, their faces glowing with hope. They had survived, they had fought back, and now, under human guidance, they had begun to reclaim their freedom. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Virin collective realized that their greatest mistake had been underestimating humanity. The species they had tried to control was far stronger than they could have imagined, and the galaxy would soon bear witness to its unstoppable rise. The freed children floated in the pods, their small bodies tense but filled with a quiet sense of victory. Captain Aaron Blake watched from the bridge of the horizon, the stars stretching endlessly around them. The Virin collective had been dealt a blow they would not easily forget. Their stations were crippled, their fleets scattered, and their control over the human children shattered. For the first time, humanity had shown the galaxy that it could rise as a power to be reckoned with. Lieutenant Mara Ellis stood beside him, her eyes scanning the projections of the station below. "Captain, the Virin are retreating. Their fleets are disorganized and their communication networks are down. They're stunned by the speed and precision of our operation." Aaron nodded, his jaw tight with determination. "They underestimated us. They underestimated our children, and now the galaxy will witness what happens when humanity refuses to be controlled." The pods carrying the children moved toward a larger hidden fleet of human ships. Engineers had prepared temporary habitats for the rescued children, spaces where they could rest, recover, and begin to understand the scope of what had happened. Aaron knew that these children were no longer just survivors. They were warriors, capable of thinking, planning, and acting in ways even some adult humans could not. Inside the pods, Eli looked out at the distant station, now partially in ruins. The once perfect corridors and gleaming towers of the Virin collective's creation were shattered, twisted, and dark. He turned to Lyra, who had been by his side since the escape began. "We did it," he whispered, a mix of awe and disbelief in his voice. "We're free." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but this is only the start. The Virin will rebuild, they'll send others, but now we know we can fight, we know we can win." Aaron watched the children carefully. Their bravery had been extraordinary, but he also knew the galaxy would remember them as symbols. "We have to be ready for what comes next," he said to Mara. "They'll try to regroup, they'll try to scare others. Humanity must show that we protect our own and that no one can enslave us." The children began to speak quietly among themselves, sharing stories, teaching each other what they had learned during their imprisonment, and helping the younger ones regain confidence. Every small action reminded Aaron of something he had always believed. Human courage and ingenuity were unstoppable when combined with hope. Mara activated the fleet's long-range scanners. "Captain, we've detected other alien factions observing this sector. They've seen the chaos we created. Some are retreating, others are hesitating. Humanity's reputation is spreading before us." Aaron's eyes narrowed. "Exactly, let them see. Let the galaxy understand that Earth is not to be underestimated. This was never just about saving children. This is a statement." Inside one of the larger rescue ships, Eli stood with Lyra as other children gathered around. "We have survived what no one thought possible," Eli said quietly but firmly. "We've learned, we've fought, and now we have a chance to help others. We are stronger than fear. We are stronger than control." One of the younger children, barely 10, looked up at him with wide eyes. "Can we really fight them if they come back?" Eli smiled faintly. "Yes. We know their tricks, and now we know our own strength. They can never take that from us." Aaron and Mara had begun planning the next moves. The Virin Collective's homeworlds were far away, but their influence spread across many systems. They would attempt to regain control, but humanity had learned faster, adapted quicker, and acted smarter than the Virin could calculate. Aaron turned to Mara. "We need to make contact with other human colonies. We need to warn them, protect them, and prepare them. The galaxy will see that humanity does not surrender, that we will fight for our own, and that no one can control us." Mara nodded. "Agreed. We also need to integrate the rescued children into safe colonies. They are young, but their minds are sharp. They've learned things no one else has. They will help us prepare." The children, unaware of the wider strategy, had begun to explore their temporary home. Eli led them quietly, showing them the small comforts that the ship offered: simple beds, warm meals, and spaces where they could talk freely without fear. For the first time in their lives, they experienced safety, even if it was temporary. Aaron watched them from a distance and thought of the future. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when pushed to the edge, when their own were threatened, and when their ingenuity and courage were unleashed. The Virin Collective would think twice before ever underestimating humanity again. As night fell over the asteroid field where the fleet hid, Aaron and Mara walked to the observation deck together. Stars stretched endlessly, indifferent yet beautiful, as if witnessing the rise of a new power. "The galaxy is changing," Mara said softly, "all because humans refuse to accept captivity." Aaron nodded. "It's more than that. We've shown that courage, intelligence, and unity are stronger than any chain. We've shown that even in the darkest corners, humanity shines brightest. The Virin Collective is just the beginning. Others will see this. They will know who we are." Deep in the hidden pods, Eli looked at the stars, imagining Earth far away, imagining the families who must have feared for their children. They were alive now, and humanity had kept its promise, not just through force, but through thought, strategy, and heart. Meanwhile, the Virin Collective's communication channels were in disarray. The alien fleets had been scattered, their stations crippled, and their enslaved children freed. Commanders barked orders, but confusion reigned. For the first time, they faced a species that could not be calculated or controlled, a species that turned every attempt at domination into a failure. Aaron and Mara monitored the Virin's attempts to regroup. "They're trying to communicate," Mara said, "but they are behind. We've disrupted their networks across multiple systems." Aaron's lips curved into a slight smile. "Good, let them watch. Let the galaxy watch. Humanity is not afraid, humanity is united, and humanity is rising. They will see it." In the pods, the children began to relax for the first time. Some whispered to each other, recounting their time in captivity and sharing small victories. Others simply stared out the windows at the stars, imagining the freedom they had long been denied. Lyra leaned over to Eli. "Do you think the others will be safe too?" Eli nodded. "Yes, we've started something bigger than ourselves. Humanity is coming for every one of them. No child will be left behind." Aaron and Mara continued coordinating fleet movements and communications, making sure that no Virin forces could regroup and strike again. Humanity was not just reacting. It was now acting with strategy and foresight. Every decision reflected the intelligence and adaptability that had saved the children in the first place. The freed children learned quickly under human guidance. They were trained in basic defense strategies, communication skills, and observation techniques. Though young, they had survived extraordinary conditions, and now they were being prepared to help in securing other children and human colonies across the galaxy. Aaron addressed the crew and children over the fleet's communication network. What we've accomplished here is only the beginning. The Virin Collective believed they could enslave humanity's children. They believed they could hide in the shadows and maintain control. But they were wrong. Humanity adapts, humanity fights, and humanity protects its own. Mara added, "The galaxy has seen our strength, they've seen our courage. And those who try to harm humanity in the future will learn what we've already proven, that we cannot be controlled, that we cannot be broken, and that we will fight to the last star to defend ourselves and our children." As the pods docked with the main fleet, the children stepped out into safe quarters. They looked at each other and at the humans who had guided them, understanding the magnitude of what had happened. They were free, alive, and ready to be a part of the larger force that humanity was becoming in the galaxy. Eli and Lyra stood side by side, looking out of the fleet's observation window. "We survived," Eli said quietly. "Yes," Lyra agreed, and the galaxy saw it. Humanity is not just Earth. Humanity is every mind, every heart, every spark that refuses to be broken. Aaron Blake turned from the observation deck, gazing at the distant stars. Humanity had begun to reclaim its place in the galaxy, not through domination, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. The Virin Collective had been challenged and defeated in this encounter, and the story of Earth's resilience would spread across the stars. He thought of the children, their bravery, and the ingenuity that had allowed them to survive and escape. Humanity had proven that even when enslaved, it could fight, adapt, and triumph, and the galaxy would witness this truth. Mara placed a hand on his shoulder. "We've done it," she said. "We've saved them and we've changed the way the galaxy sees us." Aaron nodded. "Yes, and this is only the beginning. Humanity will protect its own. Humanity will rise, and the galaxy will never forget it." The children, safe at last, smiled faintly, their hearts lighter than they had been in years. They had survived horrors no child should ever know, yet now they carried hope, courage, and knowledge that could never be taken from them. They were free, guided by their parents and the humans who refused to surrender. In the distance, scattered alien fleets tried to regroup, but they had learned a lesson they would not forget. Humanity was not to be controlled. Humanity was not to be underestimated. And the galaxy, whether ready or not, had begun to witness the rise of a species that would protect its own at any cost, that would fight with intelligence and heart, and that would never bow. Captain Blake looked out at the stars one final time, feeling the weight of what had been achieved. Humanity had rescued its children, struck back against a powerful foe, and made a statement to the galaxy. Those who underestimated Earth would pay the price. And somewhere across the endless stars, the story spread, a story of courage, strategy, intelligence, and unity. Humanity had risen, its children were safe, and the galaxy had witnessed the unstoppable spirit of a species that would never be enslaved again. The future awaited, and it belonged to humanity.